Well, everyone, it's been about a month since the iPhone SE's third generation actually ended up coming out. Now, here's the thing about this specific iPhone. Not a lot has changed. We've gotten a couple of few updates here and there, but my opinion on this iPhone is still exactly the same as it was before. I actually plan on switching to this iPhone completely fully at some point. As of right now, we'll kind of see how it goes. But with this iPhone, not a lot has changed. It's still being sold for that same price tag. It looks like it's not going to be selling too well, which is basically the main thing. But I've had a chance to install the latest versions of software, and like I mentioned, not much of it has changed, to be honest. Now, obviously the body has stayed the same. The display still looks and feels, exactly how it was before. I guess the only notable thing about the body, or even with the price tag that even changed a little bit, was in the used market, there have been some used ones popping up, which is really cool. And it looks like, they're still hovering around that $370 to about that $390 price tag, which I don't really understand how people buy these iPhones immediately and then resell them when they're so brand new. But that's one thing. If you're trying to pick them up in the used market, you can probably save yourself $40 to $50 if you just go that route rather than buying them brand new. But that's pretty much not that big of a deal. You're going to see the biggest differences when you're, waiting a year or 2 years or something like that. Now, what I will tell you on top of that is with something like the iPhone SE third generation, there really isn't any big news that's came out with this thing. I feel like this phone kind of showed up and less people are actually talking about it now, which is typically what happens. But I haven't really seen too many reviews of this thing recently. I haven't really seen many updated reviews of this thing actually either. And there's been a few 1 week reviews on Reddit, like some people kind of, mentioning their experience with it. I think I saw on Twitter some people mentioning their experience as well, but it just doesn't really seem like that many people bought this iPhone. I remember when the iPhone SE2 came out, there were a lot of people who were mentioning and just talking about their experience with that iPhone, and I actually did enjoy that quite a bit. And even for the first year of that iPhone being out, from 2020 to about 2021, there were a lot of people who mentioned the iPhone SE2 a ton. And now with the iPhone SE3, mostly because it was a price increase and it kept the same body, it seems like there's way less action and just way less people talking about this iPhone than there were with the previous iPhone SEs, the first iPhone SE. People talk about still to this day. With this iPhone SE third generation, just seems like not that many people are interested. And even with iPhones in general, it seems like a lot of the news is more so on the iPhone 14s, and we're talking about that than the iPhone 13s as well. But one thing about the iPhone SE3, and I guess the biggest thing and the biggest takeaway of this iPhone, as I mentioned in previous videos, it's a great chipset inside and it has quite a bit of RAM inside as well. Those are the things you're paying for with this iPhone. You're not paying for the build quality, you're not paying for, well, it's still a bit good build quality, but you're not paying for features, you're not paying for really anything like that. And one thing that I've been actually looking at is with some of my non-gesture based iPhones, like my iPhone 7 Plus, iPhone 8 Plus, so on and so forth, these are massive differences. But that doesn't mean the iPhone is necessarily faster or slower than the other one. With my iPhone 8 Plus to my iPhone XR, I did a comparison the other day, and my iPhone 8 Plus was actually outperforming my iPhone XR, which was so weird. With my iPhone SE3, again, it's going to be probably a faster phone than most older phones than the iPhone 12s, the iPhone 11s, the iPhone XS, XRs, the iPhone 10s. However, the problem is that gesture, or the lack of gesture-based design, is the thing that I'm really not happy about. I hate clicking the home button. I hate waiting for the home button to respond back. I just don't like any of that kind of stuff. And with something like the iPhone, XR even, for example, that gesture-based design makes things feel so much smoother, and I love that kind of stuff. So still, we're years into this home button design, and I'm not really that big of a fan of it still, to be honest. I was at one point. Now with the gestures, it's a completely different world. So that's about the biggest difference that I've kind of noted. I've mentioned that before, but the more and more I use this phone, that's the biggest kind of takeaway that I've seen, is that, yeah, I guess Touch ID, I like having Touch ID and everything, but I just don't really like, the gesture or lack of gesture-based design. I love gestures a lot more, and with this iPhone, that's probably the biggest thing you're going to notice. Everything else, the size, the battery, everything like that, I can get accustomed to, but the two things are basically, the home button and as well as probably the camera setup. I don't like having that only single camera. I like having multiple lenses. But even that hasn't really impacted me that much compared to the lack of gesture-based design. So about a month in, not much has changed. My opinion is exactly the same. I don't think my opinion is going to change at all about this iPhone, to be honest. It's not until this iPhone is probably less than $200 in the used market. That's when this iPhone is probably going to be a good deal. Other than that, this iPhone is still being sold for quite a bit of money, and it doesn't make any sense to pick up this iPhone anymore. So that kind of covers it. If you have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.